Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of our colleagues, our Rotary family members. Thank you for joining us. This is the Rotary Club of Worldwide Impact, and we're excited to share our mission and the work that we do as part of Rotary International, a global network of more than 1.4 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and especially problem solvers, because we are experts in tackling issues around the world. As you know, my name is Dewin Justiniano, and I'm super excited to be your host for today's program. As a Rotary Club, we love to address conversations in different ways and also to find opportunities to learn and to grow together, as our goal is to connect with more people around the world and to hear fascinating stories from amazing speakers. Super excited for having Mary Lou today. She is the charter member of the Rotary LGBT Plus Fellowship, as well as as a founding ally of Rotary HIP, which is the Honoring Indigenous People. Mary Lou has held several leadership positions in different Rotary clubs and also within Rotary International. And something that you might not know about her is that she's not a morning person, but today she made it super early to be with us this morning. So for that, we are extremely thankful. Mary Lou has an incredible story to share with us this morning. And also she will share a couple of tips on how to become an change agent for inclusion from her more than 50 years of Rotary adventures. How exciting is that? Thank you. Thank you everybody for joining us, and let's get started. Mary Lou, a warm welcome, a warm applause from all of us. Welcome to our program today.
Thank you. I'm so delighted to be here.
Great. It's incredible to have you today, and we're so excited about learning more from you and as we get inspired from all the amazing work that you are currently doing. Let's start. I'm super excited. Tell us a little bit more about you. Who is Mary Lou?
Well, I guess it depends who you ask. If you ask my husband on my 50th birthday, he described me as an impresario of life. I thought that was the nicest thing anyone has pretty much ever said about me. If you ask other people, they might say, "Oh my goodness, she asks too many questions. She's too demanding. She's always asking why, and more importantly, she's asking what, why not?" The woman is relentless. I once had a member of the Rotary Club of Whitby Sunrise when I was president who said to me, "Mary Lou, do you ever just stop thinking? Do you ever just like stop?" No, no. Other things to know about me, I'm part of a Rotary family. So I grew up in a Rotary family, and we have two daughters. My husband David and I have two daughters, Rachel and Sarah. And Rachel's involved in Rotaract. She's past president of her Rotaract club. So yeah, Rotary family. Oh, the other important thing, Peter, I almost forgot that I am a Fluvog shoe wearer. Does anyone?
Yes.
Right? Yes. I have a brand new, I don't think they're going to swap. So Fluvog is a Canadian designer, and he really is someone who represents diversity and inclusion in a different way of doing things. So I don't know if you can see that these are my new Rotary shoes.
Nice.
Yeah, the Fluvog shoes. They're called the Geller, and they're vegan leather, so more inclusion. Anyways. So if you see me, that's generally what I have on my feet.
That's so interesting. Wow, that's pretty cool. Are those available around the world? Can you share some of those to us?
Fluvog, Fluvog. Yeah.
Wow.
I'll go find the website.
Yeah, tuck it in there, Peter. They have, and it's interesting because they attract a lot of people similar to Rotarians. They do a festival every year called Flumunity, like community, but Flumunity for the Fluvog shoe wearers. And it's a place where people park their egos at the door and get down to the business of learning to know about each other and figuring out what they can do in the world. So yeah.
That's impressive. That's impressive. And tell us, when you are not changing the world. What do you usually do for hobbies? What's your favorite color? What do you like to do?
Um, so favorite color, once upon a time it would have been pink and purple. I like to wear a lot of red and black, but pretty much my favorite color is all the colors, right? All the colors. Um, now, and must be said, this was the original version of the Rotary Pride shirt in our district, so it doesn't have all the extra pink and white. It will, but it's an important shirt to me, so all the colors, really. But color, nothing wishy-washy.
That's
What do I
amazing.
like to watch working? Well, I think feel like the answer to that is Rotary. But I'm also a writer. I love to garden, anything involving the water, in it, on it. Yeah.
That sounds fantastic. That sounds really, really interesting. And I have to say, I love your teacher, and especially Rotary Pride, which make us think a little bit more about your role in Rotary. Why Rotary? How everything started? I have to say, is it true that it's been 50 years of adventures?
Yeah, pretty much 50 plus. So as I said, I was born into a Rotary family. And so from the moment that I could take a coat, empty an ashtray, tidy up after people, I was voluntold at Rotary events. And you know, my kids for sure would say the same thing. When they were 5, they're twins, we were at a Rotarian's house hosting a nun from the Dominican Republic, where the Rotary Club of Whitby Sunrise does a lot of work in education. And we were sitting around chatting, and there was food sitting in the middle of the table. And my daughter Sarah said to me, Mom, what? Should we be passing that? Yes, yes. Ask her if she would like you to pass it. So she knew what was expected of her. So yes, it's been a whole lifetime of adventures. When I was in high school, we had Rotary Youth Exchange students come and stay with us who were at the Rotary International Convention. That would have been, I'm gonna say 1980. And that also led me to want to be an exchange student, not a Rotary Youth Exchange student, but eventually I was an exchange student in Germany. So yeah, it's been a long Rotary adventure, but I didn't join Rotary until somebody asked me. This is an important thing, right? It's
We
like,
want to know
why
more
did you?
about that.
Well, so I was on maternity leave when I was watching breakfast television, something I didn't use, but I was home and I tuned in, and there were 2 female Rotarians being interviewed about the creation of the Redwood Shelter, which is a women's shelter here in Toronto. And I was very excited to know what they were doing, but I was even more excited to see that these were female Rotarians. And even I had to have a mind shift. What now? Because so that was like the extra seed. And then I moved out of Toronto with my husband for work, and someone asked me, we're chartering a new club. I know your dad was a Rotarian, like, would you be in? I'm in. Yeah. And the adventure just goes from there. So I always say that Rotarian, give him credit, Scott Allison, he either gets credit or blame for my adventure since then.
That sounds wonderful. I think we all really appreciate when those special moments happen and we get inspired and we take that step into the Rotary family. That's amazing. And you mentioned 2 Rotary women. Wow, that's so special. And I have to say, as we all know, women were officially accepted in Rotary in 1989. And can you tell us a little bit more about your advocacy of the role of women in Rotary?
Yeah, so it really hasn't been that long. But just trying to think even what the angle on this should be. We had our first international president, Jennifer Jones, last year. And on the journey from 1989 to last year, lots and lots of questions were asked about why don't we have more women in leadership roles. So in fact, when I was district governor of Rotary District 7070 in 2018-19, which is in fact the Be the Inspiration year, so I love that you've been using the word inspiration, in that year, I was expected to write a newsletter piece, right? Every month, write a newsletter piece at Skip. And most of the district governors, like I was told, okay, like, write about membership and foundation, and then write about the different months that we have vocational service, love vocational service. I'm a former vocational service director. That's all great. But my very first article was, it's 2018 and Rotary has an all-male board. Why? Right? And it wasn't just a rant. It was a little bit of rant, but it was also, okay, here's the rant. And then here are maybe some of the reasons. Here are some of the excuses I've been given. Here are some of the things maybe we could do about this. I got an official complaint from someone I know in a Rotary Club in Toronto. And he sent me an email to say, that was absolutely not the place to say that. That's not what our Rotary leaders should be doing. That's not what leadership is. And I have expressed my displeasure to Rotary International. I'm like, oh, okay, well, thank you for letting me know. That's, I appreciate your transparency. I think that's exactly what Rotary leadership is, or leadership in general, to call out a thing where we're not doing our best and to suggest how we could perhaps change that. I had a second official complaint, and I was really hoping for a third one, but for a hat trick, but I only got two. But I mean, part of leadership is if someone is not complaining about you, you're doing your job. You're not really pushing the envelope. And I'm not saying, push the envelope to push the envelope. Push the envelope because the world needs real change, right?
Absolutely.
And it's disagree. So at the Rotary Convention in Atlanta in 2017, I was there as part of the district governor-elect class, and I was there to promote the Toronto Convention. And in my group of classmates, we had a meeting with the president-elect for Rotary International, Sam Awari, who unfortunately died the summer after that we were there. And there was a chance for the district governors-elect to ask questions. And I find when we're given opportunities to ask questions, we generally don't ask questions. Question asking is good, right? So I got to the microphone and said, I'd be very curious to know President-elect Sam's views on the role of women, and when he thought we might, no disrespect to him, but when we might have a female president of Rotary International. I got bullied from the front of the room, not by Sam Awari, but by his aide, who has since apologized, and we've made peace. But what did you say your name was again? Mary Lou. And Mary Lou, what district are you from? 7070. Well, and how is it that you could be in this room and not understand how Rotary works and be asking the questions about how women are going to move up through, like, it was terrible. But I stuck to my guns and sat down. What was somewhat worse is that some of my classmates thought that I embarrassed them by asking the question. And some of them thought it was great, but they said that, but I could never do that. I said, well, you need to do that. You actually need to do that. Can't just be one person. So getting behind people who can stand up to a microphone and even shaking ask the question politely, right? I believe in speaking the truth in love, but you have to speak the truth and you have to ask the hard questions, right? So, well, I think I have it here somewhere. My little, there it is. This is my, actually, so I have two favorite pins in Rotary. One of them is this one, which is my Rotary Fellowship pin. But this one here, let's see, if I hold it this way, you can see it. It's my Women in Rotary pin. So I took this to my friend in this Rotary Club in Toronto and gave it to him, the one who complained about me, and said, okay, I expect you to wear this. This is my gift to you. I'm not asking you to wear this. And he was in a group of people. Like, I didn't embarrass him, but we just had a little chat. I'm like, no, I do expect you to wear it. So think of me. So even if he never wears it, when he sees it, he'll remember our conference.
Absolutely. That pin has a very, very special meaning. I have to say, Women in Rotary, it's so important to understand all the background, where we were so many years ago and where we are going, the direction the Rotary International is taking. And thank you for making those questions.
It's also important to call out in a positive way people who stand up for change, right? And when you stand up for change, you are not always honored. But I would like to honor Carl Wilhelm Stenhammar, who came from Sweden. He's a Rotary International president. He was president in 2005-06, the year I was president of my Rotary Club. And he stood on the stage at the Rotary International Convention and called out Rotary International for doing a poor job of encouraging women in Rotary. Right? And he was encouraging, he was also encouraging, but he named it. He named from the stage what other people were not willing to name. And he also didn't have an annual theme. And we have now finally, after all those years of his suggestion, moved to, after this coming year, no international theme for the president, because it's not the president's organization. It's our organization, right, as members of Rotary. So he used as his theme service above self and said, I'm a Swede, we recycle, which I love. I love.
Wow, that's very inspiring. In that sense, what do you think? Where is Rotary International going? Are we doing enough to promote women in leadership positions within our organization? Where we are in that sense, what do you think?
We're getting there. We're getting there. But in fact, I mean, of course, it's not just women. It's full inclusion. It's really making sure that we live up to our fabulous vision statement, right? That place where we unite people and take action and create change. So we need to live into that. We can always do more. We should celebrate when we do. There's more that we can do. And I think part of the answer there is going to be doing a better job of the Rotaract Club, Rotary Club conversation. Because we have, I mean, our Rotaract clubs, at least in my experience, really do embrace diversity, represent communities better than many Rotary clubs, not all. And yet we still have this chasm between Rotaract members and Rotary Club members. And we can learn, right? We can learn, but on the Rotary side of the equation, we do have to change how we do things, be willing to do things a new way. So I think that's a growth edge for us and how we could be doing better. I was honored in October of 2022 to be asked by President Jennifer to represent her at a conference as an RI rep. So the RI rep is the person who goes to a conference, represents the president, because presidents, they cannot be at every conference, district conference all over the world. And I said, that's great. Love to do that. And I said to RI and to the conference organizers, District 7010, normally your spouse, if you have a spouse, would come with you, right? And Rotary will fund them to come. And my husband said, as much as I'd love to come and meet people, I've got another conference, I can't come. And I said, okay. Well, I invited my daughter, Rachel, who was the president of her Rotaract Club. And they said, yeah, we'd love to have Rachel, but Rotary International would not fund her. They would not fund her. Well, because our code of policy says that your partner for this event, you know, has to be like your spouse or your significant other or, you know, your current fling. I don't know, but it couldn't be your kid. And I said, well, it's not really going to cost the conference anymore. We'll have the same hotel room. You just pay her flight. You'd pay my husband's flight. You can pay her flight. Nope. So we ended up making it work just ourselves. But Rachel was a presenter at the conference. So on the Sunday, I represented Jennifer. She was essentially, you know, if I'm representing Jennifer, I guess she's representing Nick, who was the other half of Jennifer. And she gave an amazing presentation on increasing our ability to adapt, lessons from Rotaract. It was brilliant. And increasing our ability to adapt is the fourth pillar of Rotary's action plan. So we have, that's the growth edge. And I think that's a learning place for members of Rotary clubs.
That's absolutely inspiring. And I have to say, a couple of us are former Rotaractors, and we can totally relate. We can totally, absolutely relate with what you just mentioned. And absolutely, over the last couple of years, the Rotaract movement has been changing dramatically around the world. And most of us, we have decided to jump into the Rotary family because we do believe in the power of change, the power of inclusion and diversity. And it's incredible that you just mentioned as you just mentioned, that beautiful story. That's impressive. Our friend Jed has a comment. Jed?
A question. Because the change is very much further in Rotaract, do you think there's still place for both, or should they be integrated? And should we to learn more from the way Rotaract is working and including people young and old and anything? Should we integrate Rotary and Rotaract?
Now, this is a great question, and I do think about it. And in fact, we have integrated both more in that members of Rotaract are Rotarians, right? We no longer describe Rotaract as a program of Rotary, right? There's been an evolution. But I mean, I'm going to get in trouble, but that's okay. That's all right.
Maybe your third complaint.
Next complaint, that's all right. But I mean, even the word Rotaract has motion to it, right? What if we were all Rotaract clubs? Like, think about it. What if we were all Rotaract clubs? I don't know. I think there's some kind of transition to be had there. More unity, right? Not Rotaract and Rotary, right? Maybe we are Rotaractors and part of Rotary International, all of us. I don't know. Because a lot of Rotaract members, from what I hear, look around when they're starting to feel that they're aging out of university or college-based club or even a community club. And even though there are Rotary clubs in their geographic area, there's nothing that really fits for them or works for them. In District 7070, which is my district, we had a couple of Rotaract clubs form Rotary clubs. There were two of them. One of them made it through the pandemic and one of them didn't, but that is also a model. So I often say to Rotaractors, like, if you want to be in a Rotary club and you don't see one that works, just create your own. Just create, start over. And I've also said to Rotary clubs when I went touring, and because you're expected to go and visit all the clubs. And so I did my best, although I was working, so I didn't do every single club in my district. I said, you people get together and I'll come talk to everyone at once. But there was one club in the eastern part of our district, and they were 10 or 12 really lovely people who met for dinner, once a week, and they loved doing that. And they did some good work and they supported the foundation. But when I went there to talk membership, I got pushback. And finally, the president, he was very transparent. He said, but Mary Lou, what if I actually don't want this club to grow? What if I like it the way it is? I'm like, okay, well, thank you for your honesty. Where's the fear? What's your fear if this club got bigger? Well, if this club gets bigger, then I won't know everybody. And we all know each other really well, and we work well together, and the club members have been supportive because we know each other. I said, hear that. But who are you to deny that opportunity to somebody else? So just think about, by your exclusion of others and you're holding on tightly to this group you value, what you are missing and what other folks are missing. So if you want to have dinner for the next 10 years together and then fold the club, you can do that. But we're not going to invest any more time as a district in you. Like, be a member of the district, that's great, but make a call. Make a call. And I think sometimes as leaders in Rotary, we spend a lot of time, maybe too much time, fussing about the clubs that just actually don't want to grow and they just want to have dinner and die. That's okay. So don't invest your energy there. Create a new club. If you don't find one that's working for you, offer yourselves, like offer a Rotary club in your area to come in and run a meeting for them. Give them the opportunity to experience something else. But at a certain point, wipe the blood off your forehead and start something new, right? It's not worth banging your head against the wall. I do think we could get further together if we really worked together. And we're transitioning, right? Transitioning takes time, right? Making a change is easy. Making the transition is difficult. Having a DEI statement is one thing. Living it, entirely different ballgame, right?
Yes, absolutely. I believe Jada also has a following up question. Yet?
Yes, I was also asking it because some clubs do have plans to grow, but they can't attract younger members. They want to, but they can't because they're a close, they're a tight-knit club and having dinner and doing some good things, but they can't attract younger or other people because they don't know them anymore. They're in the same circle, or they don't. When one young person comes in, they don't feel part of the club because there's a big age gap. So that was why I was thinking to maybe integrate Rotaract and Rotary more, so there's a more natural way of working together and being together, because then you can have more younger people in Rotary too. So why have two different groups doing the same things with I was thinking about more the transition from the younger to the older members, like a Rotary Life, like you said. See if we can with more integration of the systems, that maybe more young people will stay in Rotary and not finish after they finish university, or like you said, they outgrow those clubs and don't feel comfortable in new clubs, because it's a lot of effort to start a new club.
It's not as much effort as you think. Just say if you have a group of committed people. And it's not the
Yeah,
only.
but that's what I mean. The group of committed people, to keep them together, that's a lot of effort.
Oh, I see. You know, club culture is a really important thing to look at. If you are a Rotary club that wants to attract a more diverse membership, whether that's age or gender or occupation or social role, whatever that diversity looks like, if you really want to reflect your community and have the doers in your club, right, in your movement, then you have to take a good look at club culture. What is it to be an outsider and come into your club? Do you give people an opportunity to get their hands dirty, right? To get in and do a thing, right? We are people of action. Ideally, we are not people of meetings and people of check presentations and people, no. Like, so where are our action points? Where can we invite someone in a very accessible way, right? And I really do mean that in all the ways that matter, right? Can someone get to your event? Can they participate? Is there a financial barrier? Is there a physical barrier? Is there an attitude barrier? Right? And I think often, I mean, if I look around, and I troll around on the internet and see how clubs are, for my public image role with Rotary. So I'm a public image coordinator, which is a volunteer position for all of Canada, Alaska, Michigan. And so I look around to see how clubs are representing us. And I have seen clubs describe Rotary as, in their FAQ, as, can students join Rotary? No. Yes, the answer is yes, 100% yes. No, and I've had, in the FAQs, who can join Rotary? Well, you have to be a business professional. And like, they've actually written this down. It's like, so no. So we do have work to live up to our vision statement. We have this great vision statement. We have a great campaign called People of Action. We actually need to do that. I think if we do that and are open to new ways of doing that, then we will be attractive. I know from my own daughter's experience, she was like, oh, she didn't want to be club president because she said, then I will have to go to meetings with the Rotarians. And it wasn't that she didn't want to do things with the Rotary Club, but nobody in Rotaract wants to be treated as a second-class citizen. Nobody wants to have their time disrespected. Nobody wants to be told this is just how we do it. Right?
Absolutely.
So if we could together on a service project and get to know each other as people, then age matters so much less. And what you do in your job or in your vocation, paid or unpaid, what you do in the community, those things are important, and maybe they're points of connection, but they're not a badge you wear and say, we can identify across what's important to us, whether it's the planet or working at a food bank or, you know, addressing the things that the world actually really, really needs us to do. It's kind of critical we get over ourselves and do that.
That's so important. And what you mentioned really set the tone of what our organization is promoting, what we really want to do. And if we are that people of action, as you mentioned, we have to have that ability to adapt, to change, and to innovate. Absolutely. Which it's so interesting. As you mentioned, we're also moving and transitioning to be more inclusive, to promote diversity. And while I was reading a little bit more about the LGBT plus fellowship, which was originally recognized and officially recognized in June of 2018, and we're super happy that you are one of the charter members of the fellowship. Can you tell us a little bit of how everything happened? How Rotary took that step, how the fellowship took that step of, let's say, hey, here we are. This is important. Let's have
Absolutely.
this conversation.
I'd be delighted. So first of all, I have to say, just up, you know, is it the truth? Yes. Am I a charter member? Yes. Did I squeak in on the tail end of things were organized and they needed the X number more charter members? I'm like, how have I not heard about this? Yes. Like, sign me up. I'm in. So full transparency. And this is not a fellowship. So fellowships are not created by Rotary. Fellowships are created by members of Rotary. So just really clear distinction. And at the 2017 convention in Atlanta, there was a breakout session on LGBT plus issues, and I was not there. But at that session, somebody asked, hey, is there a fellowship or an action group on this issue? And the answer was no. So from there, the presenters at the breakout session and the people who had gathered thought, I bet we could make that happen. And then just before the Rotary International Convention in Toronto in June of 2018, then the fellowship was launched. And at that convention, then we had a breakout session, a panel discussion. As an ally and a parent of community members, I was honored to be asked to be on the panel and help find some panelists. Yep, Alex was there. I was just seeing his comment pop up in the chat. And so we had a panel discussion about what it's like to be the family of Rotary and in the LGBT plus community and how to be an ally and so forth. And I will just tell you one story from that event. So at that event, afterwards, people didn't want to leave the room, right? The next breakout session, they're wanting to get in and get set up, but people didn't want to leave the room because they were having such an incredible, powerful time of conversation and connection. And one Rotarian came to me, introduced themselves, and said, thank you to the fellowship for organizing this event. This is the first time I have ever felt completely safe at Rotary.
Wow.
And the fellowship is about a lot of things, right? The fellowship is there to provide opportunities for conversation, for education, to be a resource, to promote and give ideas on service projects that could be of benefit to the LGBT plus community. But it's about creating safe community. And where we have safe community, then we can have ideas exchange. Then we can get things done. Then we can have world peace. Honestly, we're not having world peace without safe community. So the fellowship is one place, but it's there as a resource. We have an incredible tool that was developed by our past president, Grant Godino, and it's a club inclusion toolkit. You can download it online. Maybe someone will throw the website in the chat. The fellowship is rotarylgbt.org, so other people will have it. And you can download the inclusion toolkit and go through it with your club. Now, it's primarily focused, of course, on the LGBT plus community, but it's pretty generic. You can use this tool to look at how you're doing on inclusion on a broader front too.
from a more holistic approach.
Yes.
That's so important. That's so important. Which make us think a little bit more about, wow, I feel like 2018 was just last month. Time is flying a little bit fast, I have to say. Um, what is the vision? Where is the fellowship going in the next 5 years? What other plans the fellowship has?
I had a short chat in the wee hours with Craig Bowen, who's the current president of the fellowship. And he has taken over from someone else who unfortunately had to just step back a bit for personal reasons. I know his vision is that we're going to have a lot more dialogue and opportunities for conversation. And if you ask me what's mine for the fellowship, is that we will continue to be there, to be standing with. And we had an opportunity to do that in April of this year when the new anti-homosexuality law came into place in Uganda. And a member of our fellowship reached out to me. We'd gotten to know each other we have a WhatsApp group for the fellowship. So it's a great place for us as members to say, hey, what do you know about this? Just get to know each other worldwide in a very informal way. And this young person, dual Rotaractor, Rotarian, no longer able to live at home, then chased out of their accommodation, their rental accommodation. The fellowship, a few of us got together and helped find a place for this person to live and get this person out of Uganda. And you know, that's one person, but I can tell you that I am so proud of that person who is now living in South Africa and who is doing incredible service projects. So imagine someone who gets to live their potential and the person they are and make the contributions they have to make without fear of bullying, death, harassment, exclusion. Like, that's what's at stake. When we exclude people, that's what's at stake. Life itself and limiting someone's potential to make a difference, to actually live into what it means to be a member of this Rotary movement. So I have very little time for people who say to me, oh, Mary Lou, Pride is, being involved in Pride, that's a political issue. If it's not a podcast, I would say something very impolite here, like, no, not nonsense. Picture another word for nonsense. No. But it's important to have the conversations, because if you get down to attitudes, exclusionary attitudes, in my opinion, are based on fear.
Absolutely.
So recently, Peter was there. We had a zone conference called Learning to Lead. And I know he was there every night at the social time. And that social time was important because we got to have the deeper conversations. We weren't just sitting in our chair and listening to some nice, inspiring words. We got to have the chat ourselves. And an incoming district governor came to me and said, well, Mary Lou, why should my district be involved in Pride? Like, it's not really an issue in my community. We have other things. I'm from a coal mining town. We have lots of poverty. Like, we have other issues Rotary should be looking at. I don't want to have the division that comes from maybe, and we just talked it out. We talked it out for a long time. So I just asked him more questions. Tell me about your community. And then I told him the story of when we created Rotary District 707's first participation in Pride, which was the year after the Rotary Convention. So it was 2019. And if we have a second, I'll just quickly tell you the story. And I think this helped him change his mind. He slept on it. And the next morning he came to me and said, I think we can do this. I think I could find a way to do this. And I think our district will participate in Pride. So in 707, we decided that we would have a district-sponsored participation so that members from any club and youth exchange program, students and family, everyone could just come. And it didn't put it on individual clubs to decide whether or not they wanted to participate. The district was participating. You wanted to come, great. We made nice t-shirts. Come and have a t-shirt. Come and be in Pride. And one of the presidents that year, that was my governor year, said to me, okay, Mary Lou, do I have to come? I said, yes, you do. That's what leadership is about. I don't know if your club members don't come, that's why you need to invite them. If they don't come, well, that's on them, but yeah, no, you need to be there. All right, fine. So this person shared with his family that he was going to be marching in Pride. This was on Father's Day, and this person's adult child came out to him that day.
Wow.
And this is a loving, wonderful person and an incredible dad, I am sure. But that's where the fear is of being excluded from your own family. So this person, past president now, every year, he's one of the biggest supporters of Pride. But walking in Pride together was amazing. If you check out my Facebook profile, you'll see that picture. I probably need to change it up. I just love it so much, of what it looks like. People were excited to see us. We had a youth exchange student year before last hop a barrier to walk with us, like a former youth exchange student. Oh my goodness, it's Rotary. Rotary is doing this. I'm in. And like she leapt over the barrier to come and walk with us. So I told that story, and it gave the president, the district governor-elect, the opportunity to think, okay, I could talk about it that way. You know, everyone doesn't have to, but everyone should be able to.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow! What you just mentioned, I'm speechless. And as you mentioned, it's so important to create that safe environment where everybody can feel comfortable to be who they are and to contribute in meaningful ways, no matter where or how. That's really impactful. Thank you so much for sharing that story, and which also make us reflect a little bit about our roles in our different clubs in terms of how we can create those safe spaces. Do you have any tips for besides thank you for sharing the toolkit that you just mentioned. I think it's really useful for clubs to understand the whole scope of how to open and creating these spaces. Do you have any other tips for clubs on how we can promote these safe environments?
Learning, right? Learning and listening, right? So if, you know, a good place to start on any topic, if there's a community you want to know more about, there are organizations that represent different communities. So invite someone as a speaker, get to know more, like educate yourself. And I would say like that's the same for Indigenous people. Indigenous people are happy to share if asked in the right way, right? So there are organizations that represent Indigenous people, represent all different kinds of people. Invite them to your meeting, and or go and do something with them, right? Say, hey, we're here to partner with you versus help you, right? Versus help you. We are here to be with you, right? There's a difference.
Absolutely. And
For sure, I would say if fear is the biggest obstacle to change. Fear is at the bottom of prejudice, and it's built into us evolutionary wise, is the theory, so that we tend to associate with people who look like us, who act like us, who are not threatening to us. But we have to get beyond biology and evolution, right? And learn about other people and figure out what's my fear and what do I need to do to learn. And the more we learn, the more we demystify, the more we learn what our own biases are. We all have a bias. It doesn't matter what our background is. We all have bias. It's part of being human. It has protected us from tigers for years, right? But we need to get past the tiger and be a little bit more vulnerable. Be prepared not to be right. So just east of Toronto, there's a college by the name of Durham College. And there's the Rotary Global Classroom. It's a phenomenal classroom where students at Durham College and from around the world meet virtually and can talk about ideas and different topics. And at the opening of the Rotary Global Classroom, they had a picture at the end of a big shoebox, like 9 tiles with students and professors from around the world. And then we had the chance to ask questions. So did people ask questions? No. So you have to ask questions. So my question was, what did the students hope would happen in the global classroom? And there was a student from, I want to say Nigeria, but I could be incorrect, but originally I think from Nigeria, and then but living and studying in Germany. And he said, I hope in the Rotary Global Classroom, we will get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Wow.
Big. If you think, he said, because on social media echoes back to us that everyone agrees with us. And he said, that is just not true. Everyone does not agree with us. We don't all think the same. We don't all have the same motivations. We are different. And I hope we can get comfortable sitting in that discomfort and talking it out.
Absolutely.
So a tip would be prepared to be comfortable and to practice being uncomfortable. And it's okay to disagree, right? That's why we have the 4-way test in Rotary. It helps us filter our thoughts, and it helps us speak to each other kindly. More importantly, I hope it helps us to just listen when your contribution is listening and not talking.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that what you just mentioned is totally beautiful. That's so important. And thinking back about our role in Rotary International, and Rotary is also changing. And as you mentioned, the power of collaboration, the power of change is so important as we all become change makers. And of course, this is a learning journey for all of us in Rotary, in terms of cultivating diversity, and also to have this inclusive culture. It's essential for the vision, not only of our clubs, but also worldwide. I have to say how important that role of change maker it is. And you are a change maker. You're one of the most amazing change maker for taking this step. And we are so happy and honored for that. And people, and you mentioned how important it is to be change maker, and you have encouraged people to be flamingos of change. Can you tell us a little bit about Flamingo of Change?
I'd love to. So in 2018-19, the Rotary International president was Barry Rassin. Barry Rassin is from Bahamas. And you can always tell what month it is by what's featured on the front page of the Rotary magazine, even if you don't read June, because in June, there will always be a profile of the Rotary International president. And so in the photo shoot that Barry and his wife, Esther, did for the Rotary International magazine, they're pictured on a beach in the Bahamas, and there are all of these flamingos walking in front of them. But when he was with our class of district governors elect, he told the story. He said that if you just look at the straight up photo, you won't necessarily see, but do look, there's one flamingo going the opposite direction. In the video footage of that, you see this group of flamingos, and they're all moving in one direction, except this one flamingo. The one flamingo, he said, is just moving the opposite direction, like butting elbows and shoulders and cajoling and just insisting on its own way. He said, that is a flamingo of change. And I want you to be like that flamingo, because eventually the rest of the flamingos got the message and turned around and started following the flamingo of change. So at that particular zone event at which he spoke to us, my classmates gave 2 of us in our class, myself and my friend Ingrid, who is the foundation coordinator in our zone, Flamingos of Change awards. So this is Douglas. He is the Flamingo of Change. I'm sorry Alex had to go, because someone in his club also loves the flamingos, so she tells the flamingo of change story. So Douglas came with me on all of my official visits where we talked about being flamingos of change. And it's a fun image because change making can be tough business. As I say, you can, have the bloodied forehead or feel like you do, but you can also have some fun with it. We had an incredible premier of our province by the name of Bob Ray. Bob Ray was also the UN ambassador on AIDS, incredible man. And I had the honor of presenting him with a Paul Harris Fellow. And somewhere on, when I did that, I said, could we take a picture with the flamingo of change? So somewhere on my Instagram feed, you'll see me and Bob Ray and the flamingo of change. And he was a totally great sport, right? So you have to have a sense of humor too.
That's so important. That's so important. Having that analogy, it's so interesting because it's totally true. It takes one person, it takes one step, it takes one initiative to transform. And I believe that's amazing. That's really, really cool. Thank you so much for sharing. I have to say I need to go and get a flamingo for myself to always remember how important that is.
Also remember though, that one flamingo made the pivot, right? Great COVID word, made the pivot. But if that flamingo had just wandered off into the sunset and everyone else continued to go this way, that would not be a very good story. So like, you don't always have to be the lead flamingo, right? Be the second flamingo, be the third flamingo, be the fourth flamingo. Get with the tour, right? Support people who push for change because it's tiring, right? It's tiring. I mean, before Christmas, I actually had a point where I thought, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm just kind of tired. And I have to say that I'm just seeing Sam's note about no flamingo emoji. If you pull up the full list, there might, I don't know, there is a great flamingo emoji somewhere. And so I reached out to Jennifer Jones and I said, listen, I think maybe I need to give up my seat at the zone. Nobody's listening. I'm tired of saying, why are we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we adding accessibility as a key feature of planning an event? Just saying, Peter, right? Like, what? Come on. Why have we taken a zone event that should be 3 days so we can attract everyone and made it a whole meal, like 7 days extravaganza? Why are we doing that? And she said, I hear you, but please stay at the table. Please stay at the table. Because if you're at the table, you just got to keep going. But she was back to be like, I emailed her on a Sunday afternoon. 2 hours later, she said, anytime tomorrow we will Zoom and let's talk about it. So do get behind the people who push change. Get behind. Get with, really. Get with, right?
Absolutely. And that's true. As we often say, we are all in this together. We're all in this together, and we have amazing leaders. We have a lot of change makers. It's also a good opportunity for all of us to step in and support that change. I think that's amazing. That's beautiful to reflect on. What a beautiful conversation we have had, Marilu. I'm totally inspired by all these several topics, and I cannot think about a better way to continue this conversation. And I believe we need a part 2 of this conversation. Absolutely, we need one.
I'd like to hear more from all of you.
Absolutely. And I have to ask a very important question as we finalize this really meaningful conversation. And I'm inspired by your story, by your work, and all the things that you have been doing. And I have to ask, what is your dream? What is your dream?
Well, I do dream that we do get comfortable with being uncomfortable and understand that it's okay to disagree. In Rotary, I'm kind of keen to get back into my club, into the doing of things, right? Because if you work full time, which I do, and have family responsibilities, My father was a Rotarian for over 60 years, and he died in June. And so I was caregiver a lot for him. I brought his this is here we go. You see it. This is his Rotary mug. Okay, never mind the lipstick here, but on the back is the list of all their club projects. So I'm keen to get back to the doing of Rotary and not only the talking about Rotary. And personally, I'd like to get back to writing because I am a writer, and I have a blog, which is woefully out of date because I just haven't spent the time doing it. But the written word is important. I was reminded as I looked in the Rotary magazine that just arrived, there's a little obit at the back on Richard D. King. Richard D. King was, I think in 2001, 2002, Rotary International president. And his theme was, mankind is our business. Comes from Dickens. However, as a new Rotarian, I was like 2 years in, he came to speak to the Rotary Club of Coburg, and I went, and he talked about his theme, and I just got mad. I just sat and got mad. In French, his theme worked, right? L'humanité, c'est notre affaire. But in English, I don't care if it came from Dickens, it was exclusionary. So I wrote him and thanked him for his talk and thanked him for his passion. Like, start with a thank you. I guess this would be another little tip on change. Start with appreciation. Start there. So thanked him and said, and yet here's the rub. This does not work for me. He wrote me back. And he appreciated my comments, but it came from Dickens. And like, did he really get it? I don't know. But he took the time to listen to what I had to say, and he wrote me back. So don't, or even the article on Rotary has an all-male board. Why? Put things down, stand behind your words. And in social media these days, now you can give other people what my predecessor in this role, Michelangelo Caruso, would say, nutritious content, something online that they can get behind and share. My dream is we get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that every person in Rotary or out gets the opportunity to be themselves, to live their potential or not, but to do that out of choice. Imagine if we really didn't sweat the small stuff of difference, because it is small stuff at the end of the day, right? The heart stuff is important. The passion stuff is important. Imagine if we got out of our own way on the small stuff and collaborated with the potential of each person here and each person we met. Wow, imagine where we could be.
That's so impactful. That's so meaningful. Thank you so much, Mary Lou. Thank you so much. This has been an extraordinary conversation. Colleagues, if you are there with us, let's give a virtual warm applause to Mary Lou. We are so delighted to have you here, and as we learned together about this important topic, I cannot wait for another space, another safe space where we can continue these important conversations as we grow as a club and also as an organization, especially because we are all a huge family around the world. Thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon, morning, or night, anywhere you are in the world. We are so happy to have you here. You may be hearing these on your favorite podcast service. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. This program will be available soon. Please give it a like, share it with your friends, with your family, with your colleagues. We know that someone needs to hear this. So please help us to share the message, not only in your community, but worldwide. And of course, follow us, and we love 5 stars. So please click the button over there, 5 stars, and subscribe to our social media channels. We are totally inspired by amazing speakers as Mary Lou, and we cannot wait to have her one more time with us. I think we need a follow-up program to continue talking and sharing as we learn together, as I was mentioning. We are about to close this important program, and I don't want to close without giving the floor to Mary Lou for one more time, as we thank you for this amazing conversation. Thank you, Mary Lou.
Oh, doing thank you, and Raquel and the entire club. I want to thank all of the members of the Rotary Club of Worldwide Impact. Impact, that's what we're after. And everyone else who was able to join, and those who will listen in later. So friends we haven't met yet, thank you for listening in and for sharing. I'd love to do part 2, and maybe part 2 could just be chit chat. Just go around the room and have a good chit chat, because that's where we can all learn from each other. So many thank yous. Have a great weekend, and adventure in Rotary. It's fun.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. We are waiting to see you all soon in our next program. And thank you for joining us today. And until next time.